Today we're going to talk about static methods and properties in the class. And we're going to talk about when to use them, and we're going to talk about how to create them. So basically, if you are writing utility classes and they are not supposed to be changed, so you can use static methods. And if the method is not using any instance, or if there is some code that can easily be shared among the in all the instances, you can extract that code into a static methods. And you can use a static keyword to define static method or property for a class. Let's start going to example and finding the distance between 2 points. And basically, like, we have 2 points, we want to find the distance between these two. Let's define our class. Let's call it point. So we have the class point, and we have our constructor, which we have x and y coordinate as our parameters. And here, let's we get the x, and we have the y property. So we have our constructor. Now let's define our static method, which gets the distance. So we call it static. We use the static keyword and distance. So we get point A and point B, and here we have constant for the distance for x, and we have point A minus point B, and we have stand dy, we have ay minus b. Okay, and we're gonna use basically this formula, this function, which returns the square root of the sum of the squares of its argument in order to get the distance. So let's use that. Let's return, and we dx dy. Okay, so we have our static method. Let's create two instances for point 1 and point 2, and we call the constructor for class point. We pass for point 1 we pass 7 and 2. For point 2 we will pass, let's pass 3 and 8. And now let's console log the distance between these 2 points. So here's the thing, the static distance method is called directly using the class name. So we here's the class name, and then we call the method distance, which is a static method, and then we pass point 1 and point 2. So let's run this, and we get 7.21. So let's summarize this. So when we are using when to use static methods. So if there is some code that can easily be shared by all the instances method, then we can use static method, and then we should use a static method. And the static keyword defines a static method or property for a class, and neither static methods nor static properties can be called on instance of the class. They need to be called on the class itself. And the static methods are often utility functions, and static properties are useful for caches or fixed configuration or any other data you don't need to be replicated across instances. And in the example we had, the static distance method is called directly using the class name without an object.